I had no idea what to expect after those 5 genre descriptors that almost opposed one another. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. My Country is from New Model Army's second studio album, No Rest for the Wicked, released in 1985. And lately, rarely does a week go by without seeing a request for the specific bass player, Stuart Morrow. And when a bass player gets regularly requested by name like this, I know I should probably pay attention. I've never even heard the name New Model Army before, and I thought they might be a bit more of a modern band, but they formed in 1980 and already have quite a long history. And apparently they're labeled as everything from post-punk to goth to folk to soul to metal to classical. I have no idea what to expect, so let's jump right in and check them out. Without further ado, here is My Country from New Model Army. The cracking snare. Ooh. Kind of funky.
Tell all the people who believe what they read in the press. Tell all the folk who stare from behind suburban walls.
Dig-a-dig-it.
The enemy is not some nation far across the sea. The enemy is with us every single breathing day. So yes, I will fight for my country, the land that I love so well. Yes, for justice, a land faithful to our futures. Yes, I will fight for my country, a land that I love so well. Hear the voices of our history echo all around. Fight all the ones who divide us, rich against poor. Fight all the ones who divide us, white against black.
Why does this remind me so much of Violent Femmes? For some reason. I think it's just the way the bass sits in the mix, the way the bass is bubbling and just kind of all over the place. It's very bass heavy. It has that raw, I don't know if I should say raw, very natural bass sound, but it still has a punch to it. And it's just got that really strong prescribed swing. The vocals kind of have that nonchalance to them, that duh, 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 just kind of somber. I don't know. Something about it reminds me of Violent Femmes. They're fresh in my mind because I went and saw them live maybe a little under 2 months ago. It was sort of my first punk show, if you consider them punk. It was a great show. It was amazing. I could make a whole video about that. And I really have come to like them. I heard them for the very first time here on the channel last year. So I don't know. There's something about them that reminds me of this, or this reminds me of that. Nonetheless, this is an interesting bass tone because, like I said, it has a natural sound. I'm still going to assume it's an electric bass, but it sounds very bridge pickup heavy. And one of my favorite reasons having a dual pickup bass like this is that I can go to the neck pickup and get a whole different tone. Or I can roll to the bridge pickup exclusively, kind of nail that tone. That honky nasally but cutting tone is sort of what this reminds me of. And in a way, this kind of sounds like two songs playing at the same time. There's something in the mid-range layer-wise. I think it might just be guitar. I can't tell if it's a synth, but there's a lot of reverb. So you get this kind of airy, smeary kind of mix. And the only real thing of clarity is that bass line and that backbeat on the snare. I'm going to go back and take that in again because the bass had this jangly strumming chord thing happening as it developed. Very interesting. I had no idea what to expect after those 5 genre descriptors that almost opposed one another. Okay, just go back to the beginning. Here in B. Ooh, it's in like a Locrian mode.
Tell all the people who believe what they read in the press. Tell all the folk who stare from behind suburban walls. The enemy is not
Okay, it's in sort of a Locrian mode. B Locrian is sort of the scale the bass line revolves around. It's got that flat 2 in there, so we're... Or maybe just B Phrygian. Anyway, I got the B and the C close together. But then he jumps up to the E and the... But then it goes to like the D major, the E. I hear the F sharp in there, so I'm going to call that more of a B Phrygian thing. But it's got that sort of dark, tense half-step thing starting out. Kind of like the Jaws theme, right? So it's got a bit of a dark tension to it, note-wise.
Tell all the folk who stare from behind suburban walls. The enemy is not some nation far across the sea.
Kind of a walking bass line.
Every single breathing day. So yes, I will fight for my country.
There's the F sharp. Yeah, I hear that D major. I think he's just doing straight up double stops there. But I hear that major chord. He might just be doing straight. Oh, it's getting a little chordal here. And the way the bass line navigates some of those chord changes, it has a walking bass line feel, but it's not your typical smooth, you know, non-nasally bass tone. It's got this dug-in clankiness to it, and when I talked about prescribed swing earlier, it almost sounds like every note is accompanied by a swung open string under it, so it almost has this sort of... almost has that sort of thing happening. It's very hard to hear if every note is articulated that way, but I swear there's a lot of that... just a lot of those open strings in there, it sounds like, just to give it that bounce. Interesting bass part. Wow.
The enemy is with us every single breathing day.
Dig, dig, dig. You can kind of hear it there, but it's blended in a way with the softer kick drum. And sometimes when you have a bass tone and a drum production that really fit around each other like hand and glove, it's kind of hard to tell who's really doing some of the more... rhythmic inflections on certain accents, which is a cool thing because the two should glue together in that way. But yeah, right here.
Divide us rich against poor. Fight all the ones who divide us white against black. Fight all the powers who want their missiles in our earth. Fight all the people who would lead us into war.
It's such a nasally tone. I swear the more I hear it, it almost has the Violent Femmes bass tone. I don't know, it's a very unique bass tone. It's very twangy. And the reason it cuts is because there's not a lot of low end in it either. So I never usually go back and really look up what bass a bass player is using, because a lot of the bass tones we hear on songs they're great tones, but they're classic. They're P basses and stuff. So I'm very curious about this one. I'm sure one of you will know. But yeah, this whole line here. Duck, 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 duck. It is so damn bouncy. Okay. And this guitar part, it's hard to pick out. That's kind of interesting. Okay, this is a new section of the song. It's been kind of A, B, A, B. We've gone to A minor, D major. So we'll get to that in a second, but you hear how the bass just kind of it almost like it went down in volume for a second. It almost sounds like the other layers, maybe this guitar part, it's like they swapped places with who's loudest. I noticed that shift right here when I went to that A minor chord. We haven't really heard that yet. I feel like the bass got pushed back like at the mixing stage, because I can kind of hear it back there, just as intense as it has been, but it just took a back seat. Wonder if that was intentional. Listen to the shift.
Fight for my country, I'm not I love so well. Yes, for justice, alone, fight for all our futures. Yes, yes, I will fight
Next
for my
time.
country, I'm not I love so well. Hear the voices of our history
Right here.
all around. No rights were ever given to us by the grace of God.
It's like, where'd the bass go?
I
mean, it's there.
No rights were ever given by some nice guy at the top. Our rights, they were bought by all the blood and all the tears of all our grandfathers before.
Okay, some interesting moves there musically. Let me hear that again. A lot of major chords put up next against each other. I heard an E major, then a G major, I heard an F major, then it landed on the B major. Kind of puts it back in E minor. Okay, colorful things happening here. This feels like a bridge, but sort of in the middle of the song. But yeah, the bass just got a little quieter, just something I noticed.
No rights were ever given by some nice guy at the top. Our rights, they were bought by all the blood and all the tears of
A lot of major chords.
grandfathers before.
That almost feels like a major 5 back to E minor. That might be the one. That would make sense. B Phrygian is the 3rd note in G major. Okay. Back to this. Still doing that bouncy thing, and I feel like we got an F sharp and an F natural in the same sentence there. This is kind of fun. I love how bouncy it is. Okay, so the pre-chorus. Does that same pattern there. Goes up to the B, but I can't tell what notes he's putting under that. I really only hear this D major, the open D string it sounds like, with that F sharp. So I don't know if he's doing more of like a... or... Not sure. It's a strange production too, because you have everything in this big wash of reverb, especially the snare. I mean, that was apparent the very first snare crack at the beginning. And I'm still trying to understand what role this guitar part is. It's very drony. It's kind of buried. Like I can tell it's taking up some space in the sonic spectrum, but it's just hard to really focus on outside of that backbeat on the very loud snare, the very clear, punchy bass line that's just kind of sitting atop this really washy, reverby mix. So hard to tell what the guitar's doing. If I listen closely, sometimes I feel like it's playing something similar to the bass line, but maybe a bit simple, or maybe something that contrasts it. I don't know. All in all, it's a very strange production. I mean, it's kind of strumming some chords too. giddy, giddy, giddy. He's kind of shredding it now. Classic, right? Song fades out, bass player goes crazy. Every fade out, I swear this happens. But I'm hearing this. You know, they're just. You can just hear it there. All the goodness, always in the fade outs. Sometimes I ask people what they think of a song and they say, it has a good beat. And I always hate that answer because it's like, what does that even mean? Like, be more specific. Well, I'm going to say that song had a great beat. I'm going to say it. And it really does, because the volume of that bass line with that really prominent backbeat on the snare, you just kind of settled into this punchy swing. I don't know, there's something just catchy about it. I love the beat on that. The tempo, the swing, the really overemphasized swinging happening on the bass line with the bounciness, all that. It had a good beat. The rest of the song I found to be quite an oddball. In a unique way. I've not heard a song quite like this before. You just have this sort of smearing of different sounds. And sometimes when I say smearing, I mean that literally, because it's also had a very strange, dreamlike production. Where does this fit in stylistically in the mid-'80s? I know post-punk was this very large umbrella of things that maybe didn't quite fit into one box genre-wise, so this kind of seems like that. But this is for sure an example of a band where after one song, I don't really know what they sound like. I need to hear a second one. I got to have context with what we just heard. What does another song sound like? So let me know when I return to New Model Army what song I should do next. Very intrigued by what I heard. This was a very unique song, and I appreciate you guys requesting this band and this bass player by name, Stuart Morrow. I see it all the time in the comments. Quite the player, quite the active bass line. Really loved it. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If you'd like to support this channel further, please come find us over on Patreon. I do full albums over there, just like this. They're really long episodes, but it's a whole album. I also have tons of bass lessons, music theory lessons, and tons of other resources. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. I love you all. We'll see you in the next one.